the Northern Heavenly Sect, a huge flame shot up into the sky. Three men, Jin Mu-Won, Musang, and Huang Chiol, were seen standing together and looking at it. Just a moment ago, Huang Chiol was seen running over to the sect because he heard that the Northern Heavenly Sect had been destroyed, which made him very worried about Jin Mu-Won's safety. But he was glad to see that Jin Mu-Won was okay. He still asked for forgiveness for not being able to come on time. Now that we're in the present, Jin Mu-Won was seen getting on one of the horses. Musang bowed and called out to him, telling him to stay healthy and safe until they meet again. Jin Mu-Won replied that he didn't know how long it would take, so Musang told him to do the same. Then Musang asked Huang Chiol to take care of their master, Jin Mu-Won. Huang Chiol happily answered that it had been his job for years, so Musang didn't have to worry too much. They said goodbye, and Jin Mu-Won and Huang Chiol left right away. Musang watched them leave. He said that a dragon had to go away to get wings on its back, and that he had to wait for him to come back and plan his future, saying that this would be his first job. Soon after, a group of martial artists were seen stepping into the Northern Heavenly Sect. Musang, who was waiting, knew that Shim Wan-li and Hai Ryung must have gone to the western base of the Central Heavenly Alliance. Young Man Chok, who is in charge of the group, is the general of the Western Stronghold. He asked Musang, who was brandishing a sword, who he was because they had heard that the Quiet Knight had shown up there. Musang carefully pulled out his ID card and introduced himself. He was a soldier in the 3rd Squad of mercenaries that the Central Heavenly Alliance sent. Yang Man Chok then asked about the other warriors, and Musang said he was the only one who was still alive. Musang was then asked about Jin Mu-Won. He said that he thought he was probably dead because the last time he saw him was in a room that was on fire, and he wasn't sure if he really got away or not. But Yang Man Chok doesn't seem to believe him yet, so he told his guards to arrest Musang, and said that the western base would question him later. Then he split his group in half and told Yang Sang-chul to be the leader of the first group, and Jiang Xiao to be the leader of the second group. Yang Sang-chul and his group will protect the border, and Jiang Xiao and his group will search the area thoroughly and find all the bodies that were burned in the fire. When Musang was taken to the Western Stronghold, he knew that he would be questioned about what happened in the Northern Heavenly Sect. If he was found to be innocent, he would be able to rejoin the Central Heavenly Alliance. But if he was found guilty, he would be locked up forever, so he had to stay focused until the end. After that, Yang Man Chok told his men not to miss any proof and to find out everything they could about the Silent Night. But Musang was sure that this group would not find anything, so he prayed in his heart for Jin Mu-Won to really do well. After a whole day, Huang Chiol and Jin Mu-Won were seen as they arrived at an area that not many people know about. The mountain is called Jokum Mountain, but it's also known as the Eerie Mountains, and it's not a good place to live. Jin Mu-Won then said he really did want to live there. Soon after, Jin Mu-Won told him that all he wants to do is train in martial arts, and that this place would be great for him to focus on his training. Since everyone thinks he is dead, there will be some doubts at first, but they will go away quickly. Then Huang Chiol agreed to bring Jin Mu-Won food and supplies every 4 months. Jin Mu-Won was very grateful for this, so he went into the scary mountains. People say that the White Dragon Mountain Troop is one of the 10 best trade groups in the country. Their wealth is so great that even the royal family has to listen to what they want. Their many offices are spread out across the mainland, which gives them a lot of power over the country. In addition, their main office is in Nanju, and they have full power over the whole city. In Nanju, everyone knew about the White Dragon Merchant Troop. The woman who started the White Dragon Merchant Troop is the retired former head No Tai-Te. She showed up at the summit meeting for the first time in years. Yoon Seo-yin, the youngest daughter, watches how her brothers carry out their family duties. Yoon Hoom-young, the oldest son and family leader, takes care of the group a lot. Their mother trusted him so much that she put him in charge of it. The fact that their mother's appearance is a sign of trouble points to a major problem. No Tai-Te asks Yoon Hoom-young about the situation in the troubled area of Unnam. It's interesting that 7 years ago everyone agreed that we should leave Vietnam because of how hard it was to run. Yoon Jam-young, the third son, however, took a big risk by investing in building a foundation there. Being willing to help with any problem in Vietnam showed how dedicated he was. But Yoon Hum-young doesn't want Yoon Jam-young to be involved because he's afraid of what will happen if he quits his job at Nanju. This fight shows that people have different ideas about how to handle things in Vietnam and the possible effects of family members taking on different roles. The family's disagreements about Eun Nam's issues seem to center on Yoon Hum-young's cautious approach, which puts stability in Nanju first, and Yoon Jam-young's desire to take risks to help the troubled area. There could be arguments or even fights in the family over this disagreement, as each person argues for their own chosen course of action. Even though Yoon Jam-young insisted that he knew Eun Nam better, Yoon Hum-young now agrees that his brother is more knowledgeable. Hum-young is very aware, though, of the unknown problems and risks that lie in that area. It scares him to think about putting his own flesh and blood in such dangerous situations. Hum-young decides to wait for their mother's choice because he knows the situation is complicated and that he can't fully understand the problems. She makes decisions that he trusts because she is fair and will probably do what is best for the family and the merchant group. Deciding to trust their mother's opinion shows that Hum-young doesn't want to make a snap decision that could put a family member in danger. It also shows that he believes she can make a fair, well-informed decision that is best for everyone. As the conversation went on around the table, everyone shared their ideas and suggestions about the important issue. No Tae-tae finally asked Jam-young the question to see if he was really interested in going ahead with the plan. When asked what he thought, Jam-young strongly stated that he strongly believed he was the most qualified and knowledgeable person to handle the problem. He laid out a thorough plan and planned to get the deputy guards to help him. Furthermore, Jam-young stressed that as long as Nam In-jeol and his men were with him, they would be able to easily get around any problems that might come up. During the exchange, No Tai-tai suggested that Protector Hwang, also known as Hwang Cheol, be added to Jam-young's plan to make it even stronger. No Tai-tai swore that Hwang was trustworthy, pointing out how admirable that was. This addition to the planned team was meant to make Jam-young's trip into Eun Nam feel safer and more secure. It would also make the group that would go into the dangerous area stronger and more reliable overall. For possible problems, it was decided that Jam-young could count on Hwang Cheol to get in touch with him in an emergency, stressing how important it was for him to be safe. Hum-young also started to worry about Jam-young's health, which led to a conversation between No Tai-tai and Hum-young, who were the only ones left in the summit room. No Tai-tai calmed Hum-young's worries about his brother's safety by giving him an answer. She stressed how important it was for the family to show that they could face and handle certain amounts of danger. No Tai-tai thought that the White Dragon merchant group would gain respect for showing such strength. She saw this as a chance for their real family to step up and lead, setting an example for everyone else to follow. No Tai-tai asked her son to bring Hwang Cheol to her because she had faith in Jam-young's abilities. She wanted to make sure that all the necessary safety measures were taken, and also wanted to stress the value of family unity and the troop's reputation for dealing with problems well. Hum-young was seen as he headed over to where Hwang Cheol was, thinking about the fact that what could Hwang Cheol do for his mother to gain her favors? But then he reached the training grounds, where he called for Hwang Cheol, who eagerly greeted him. No Tai-tai had summoned Hwang Cheol, and he set out on his journey. Prior to his departure, he responded to No Tai-tai's call, where she disclosed that her third son, Jam-young, harbored intentions of venturing to Eun Nam. Given that Eun Nam was Jam-young's self-established territory, he felt an innate responsibility to address the current issues there. This prompted No Tai-tai's decision to enlist Hwang Cheol to accompany Jam-young on this expedition. No Tai-tai's rationale behind this decision stemmed from past experiences. She recounted an incident 7 years prior when her eldest son narrowly escaped an exceedingly perilous situation. Additionally, 5 years ago, she herself faced a critical condition but miraculously survived, a feat largely credited to Hwang Cheol's presence. She attributed these fortunate outcomes to Hwang Cheol's apparent blessing with remarkable luck and an innate ability to guide people through dangerous circumstances. Believing in Hwang Cheol's perceived ability to navigate perilous situations and facilitate escapes from danger, No Tai-tai chose to entrust Jam-young's safety to him. She sought Huang Qiu's protective presence to ensure Jia Myung's well-being amidst the uncertainties and potential dangers of his upcoming journey to Unnam. This decision was founded on a belief in Huang Qiu's uncanny ability to safeguard individuals in precarious situations, aiming to ensure Jia Myung's safety under his watchful guidance. In this case, Huang Qiu rushed off because they were leaving in just 6 weeks with no time to waste. He passed through a location along his route where thieves had just robbed people. He had never before felt unsafe walking here. He felt lucky after meeting the bandits by chance, even though he had been through the area many times before. It was like luck was on his side. Soon, Huang Qiu got to Jin Mu-Won's house. For 7 years, Jin Mu-Won had lived alone in the scary mountains, away from everyone else. Even though it hadn't been a year since Huang Qiu last saw Jin Mu-Won, he could tell that the person had changed a lot. Even though things had changed, Jin Mu-Won thanked Huang Qiu from the bottom of his heart for everything he had done. They both went inside because they knew it was very cold outside. Huang Qiu was seen as saying that Jin Mu-Won had changed since he last saw him in the summer, as he had become someone that he could no longer fathom. However, Jin Mu-Won remarked that Huang Qiu came earlier than he expected. Huang Qiu explained that he had to come over now because he's getting sent over to Unnam on short notice. In the middle of talking, Jin Mu-Won's worry was clear, which made him ask Huang Qiu if something was bothering him. But Huang Qiu quickly made Jin Mu-Won forget about his worry and told him that he would be fine. But a sword that was put close to him caught his eye and made him curious. When Huang Qiu looked more closely, he saw that this sword was made from the same rock that he had given to Jin Mu-Won before. It dawned on him that this rock had amazing qualities that were far above the ordinary. Jin Mu-Won had spent a long time using the rock's unique essence to make the blade. When it was revealed that the rock was special, Huang Qiu was amazed and interested in its hidden power. Huang Qiu talked about bigger issues and gave his thoughts on the unstable state of the world's affairs. He talked about how world politics changed a lot after something that happened 7 years ago. The 4 pillars of the Northern Heavenly Skies had become very important and had a big effect on everyone in the world. At the same time, the Central Heavenly Alliance tried to control and limit their rising power, trying to keep some kind of balance amidst the chaos. To make things even more complicated, Huang Qiu said that Silent Night was a mysterious group that had once again disappeared into darkness. Even the Central Heavenly Alliance was uneasy after this retreat, which showed that there was a palpable sense of unease and doubt at the highest levels of power. After some time, Huang Qiu then left after delivering the supplies he brought and said that he would come back within 3 months during the spring, after which he left. Meanwhile, Jin Mu-Won was seen as he sighed when he thought about Yun Ha-seol. 3 months have passed since Huang Qiu came, and yet another 2 months have also passed, but he has not come back. Jin Mu-Won believed that something must have happened to Huang Qiu, so he decided that he could no longer wait anymore and that he must go and find him himself. One night, an innkeeper in Nanju's peaceful orchid area fell asleep and woke up when he heard someone coming up the stairs. At first, he thought about pushing the person away because he thought they were just beggars. To his surprise, though, the guest just threw a bunch of gold coins on the table. The innkeeper's mood changed right away, and he or she became friendlier. With newfound friendliness, he quickly led Jin Mu-Won to a certain room and happily said it was one of the best rooms in the inn. Jin Mu-Won began to unpack his things inside the room. As he thought back on his trip, he talked about the long time he had been alone. After being alone for a while, he revealed that his memories of places had become fuzzy. After 10 hard days of work, he finally found his way to Nanju. He was amazed that he had done something so difficult. During this whole process, Jin Mu-Won scolded himself and felt bad that he had been too lazy. He still didn't know much about Huang Qiu, who was the bodyguard for the White Dragon merchant group. He had a strong desire for Huang Qiu to stay alive and was filled with hope for his health. Jin Mu-Won was worried about Huang Qiu, so he went to the offices of the White Dragon merchant troupe to find out where he was. When he introduced himself as Huang Qiu's nephew, he learned that no one had any information about where Huang Qiu had been for 6 months. In order to get some information, Jin Mu-Won was led to meet Mun-jung, who is one of Hwang Cheol's young protégés. Anyway, the trail led Jin Mu-Won to Gong Jin-sung, the captain of the bodyguards. Gong Jin-sung told Jin Mu-Won that Mun-jung would soon join their talk. Gong Jin-sung could tell Jin Mu-Won was there for a reason, so he asked him straight if his visit had anything to do with where Hwang Cheol was. The captain then gave important details about recent events, including the fact that No Tai Tai, the boss of the troop, had been actively seeking out skilled mercenaries. There were plans to send them right away to the troublesome area of Unnam. It became clear how bad things were when Gong Jin-sung said that the White Dragon merchant band had been working on their own without any help up to that point, even though the Broken Fist Troop was the most powerful group in Unnam. But things had gotten so bad that No Tai Tai did something that had never been done before. He asked this powerful group for help, even if it meant giving them gifts and goods in exchange. This desperate cry for help showed how urgent and complicated the situation was, and it showed No Tai Tai's unwavering desire to get through it. Jin Mu-Won went up to Gong Jin-sung and made a request. He wanted to find out what really happened with his uncle's disappearance. He sincerely asked if he could go to Unnam with the mercenaries to help them solve the mystery of why Hwang Cheol wasn't there. During this talk, Mun-jung walked in and introduced himself to Jin Mu-Won. Jin Mu-Won gave him a quick glance, which was a silent way of acknowledging him. In the world of Murim, there is a yearly event where many talented people come together to try to get noticed. People whose skills reach unmatched heights are chosen from this group to fill the 7 prestigious roles known as the 7 lower skies. But there was a man who was smarter than most, but he still couldn't get into one of the 7 lower skies, even though he was very good at analyzing things. Unending Wit was the name of this man, Mu-Hwan, who was famous for his unmatched ability to think and analyze. At the same time, there was a powerful woman in Murim who was truly amazing. This woman held a unique strength that let her beat dozens of strong opponents all by herself. Her name was Che Yakran, and she was famous for having an amazing skill called unnatural strength. Because they were so good at what they did, both Mu-Hwan and Che Yakran stood out in Murim. Even though Mu-Hwan couldn't get one of the coveted spots in the 7 lower skies, his unmatched intelligence set him apart. Che Yakran, on the other hand, was a dangerous force in the realm of Murim thanks to her incredible strength and skill in battle. In the world of Murim, Mu-Hwan and Che Yakran had a solid reputation as vice leaders of the Yong Musong-led Iron Brigade of traveling soldiers. It was seen that No Tai Tai and her oldest son were finishing a deal with these 2 important people. They asked the Iron Brigade for help, which made Mu-Hwan confirm their promise and say they would leave for Unnam the next day. Mu-Hwan told them about their immediate plans and said they would be leaving for Unnam at dawn. 3 other members of their group would go with them on this trip. Their path would meet up with that of their boss and the rest of their group in Sacheon, which is a stop on the way to Unnam. No Tai Tai's White Dragon business organization and Yong Musong's formidable Iron Brigade, which also included Mu-Hwan, Che Yakran, and others, formalized their agreement. The trip to Vietnam was a matter of necessity and teamwork, and it was the start of a very important and possibly dangerous mission. No Tai Tai felt a little better after the deal with the Iron Brigade, even though she had been working very hard lately. Even though she was tired, she made an important choice by letting Jin Mu-Won go with the mercenaries on their journey to Unnam. Her acceptance made it seem like the situation was very serious, and that finding out what happened to Hwang Cheol was very important. At the same time, the youngest daughter, Yoon Seo-yin, continued her desire to join the trip to Unnam. Even though her oldest brother at first said no, Seo-yin was sure she could do it, citing her martial arts training at the Gongdong Temple. Because she was so determined, her brother finally changed his mind and let her join the trip. While these things were being done, Jin Mu-Won sat on a horse, feeling a heavy cloud of doubt over his mind. Even though everything was planned out perfectly, he couldn't get rid of the thought that things might not go as planned. His worry hinted at a deeper unease, which cast a shadow of doubt over the planned trip to Vietnam. When the soldiers set out on their trip to Unnam under the leadership of Mu-Hwan and Che Yakran, along with Jin Mu-Won and Mun-jung, it began. While getting ready, Moon-jung talked about his past and thanked Hwang Cheol for always being there for him, even though he wasn't very good at martial arts. Jin Mu-Won thanked Moon-jung for his dedication and asked him to protect him in case something bad happened. But because he felt responsible, Moon-jung told Jin Mu-Won that he might be safer sticking with the Iron Brigade. He was worried because Jin Mu-Won was good at martial arts and thought he might do better with them. Still, Mu-Hwan and Che Yak-ran were drawn to Jin Mu-Won's unique personality. Mu-Hwan and Che Yak-ran both paid close attention to Jin Mu-Won and noticed something strange about his chi. They talked about how unique he was and how his chi seemed to be both present and fleeting at the same time, which was something that made him stand out from others. Their smart observations pointed to something mysterious about Jin Mu-Won that interested the experienced soldiers and showed a uniqueness that went against what most people thought. As the group started their trip to Unnam, Jin Mu-Won's mysterious aura and impressive martial skills caught the attention of his friends. This set the stage for a journey full of questions and possible discoveries about Jin Mu-Won's amazing skills. Jin Mu-Won's thoughts were filled with reflection as he traveled to Unnam. He had spent his whole life getting better at martial arts, and now all he wanted was to find Hwang Cheol and Yoon Ha-seol. During his search, he had to make a tough choice. He could seek revenge for the Northern Heavenly Sect, or he could fade into darkness and live a meaningless life, which was something he thought his father would have supported. As soon as orders were given, these thoughts on purpose and punishment came to a sudden end. They were about to go into Vietnam, which caused them to be split into two groups. One would eat and rest while the other patrolled, switching tasks every so often. When they got close to their goal, Jin Mu-Won stopped thinking about himself and focused on the details of their upcoming mission. As the group got ready to go into Annam, Jin Mu-Won's inner turmoil didn't go away. His competing needs to pursue justice, accomplish his personal goal, and respect his father's memory clouded his judgment. At the same time, the immediate tasks of their mission needed his full attention. When Jin Mu-Won and Moon-jung entered a busy pub, a young girl named So-ryung who was interested in Moon-jung was cooking a delicious pork stir-fry. They introduced themselves and said nice things to each other while So-ryung served them. It was lively in the tavern when the Iron Brigade showed up and took their places while they waited for their orders. At the same time, a group of ascetics from the Gongdong Temple came in looking for food. So-ryung quickly took care of their request. That being said, things quickly became tense. A sudden uproar broke up the peace in the bar when one of the ascetics said that So-ryung's father, the cook, had served food that was meant to break Seol-gung's tooth, who would become the next heir to the monastery. A monk accused the cook of doing this to get back at the Gongdong Temple, which led to a lot of accusations. As things got worse, chaos broke out in the bar, ruining the friendly mood that had been there before. So-ryung's father was accused of things that were not true, which led to a heated argument and a gloomy mood in the once bustling establishment. During the heated argument, So-ryung's father, Ham Tae-pyung, stayed calm while the ascetics asked that someone be held responsible for Seol-gung's injury. Ham Tae-pyung calmly explained that he had severed ties with the Gongdong Temple and found the monk's claims to be unclear. He said that he did strict quality checks on the food that was served and asked if the ascetics still had complaints from the past. 13 years ago, a martial arts challenge held every 3 years made Ham Tae-pyung and Mu-hai dislike each other. During the competition, Mu-hai felt embarrassed and overwhelmed by Ham Tae-pyung's skill. He knew that as long as Ham Tae-pyung stayed in the monastery, he could only get second place. A scandal, on the other hand, happened months later and hurt Ham Tae-pyung's image. Forcefully breaking his meridians led to his expulsion from the Gongdong Temple. Being angry about losing to Ham Tae-pyung in that competition stayed with Mu-hai and made him angry every time he thought about it. As the fight got worse, the truth came out. Seol-gung had broken his tooth while training with Mu-hai, but they gave the wrong credit to Ham Tae-pyung. Even though Ham Tae-pyung was innocent, Mu-hai kept being mean because he wanted to pick on and anger her. Ham Tae-pyung was still the target of Mu-hai's harassment, despite the fact that she made false accusations against him. So-ryung saw Mu-hai treat her father unfairly and rushed to his side. her anger clear as she told Mu-hei to stop mistreating her father. Mu-hai's anger, on the other hand, made her the target of violence because of how brave she was. While seeing the upsetting scene, Chae-yak-ran felt forced to step in and help. But Mu-hwan stopped her. Knowing how sensitive the situation was, Mu-hwan stressed how dangerous it was to upset the powerful Gongdong Monastery. Even though they wanted to help Hamtaepyeong and So-ryung, they got caught in a web of political intrigues where upsetting the powerful monastery could have very bad results. Moonjung found himself facing Mu-hai in the middle of all the chaos. He was shaking with fear as he begged Mu-hai to understand. On the other hand, Mu-hei's anger knew no limits. He put Moonjung down and threatened to hurt him by cutting off his arm. When Jin Mu-Won saw how dangerous things were getting, he chose to help, even though Mu-hwan tried to stop him. If a martial artist lost a limb, Jin Mu-Won thought it meant the end of their life and identity. He said that the only way to be truly proud was to go through the hard times by yourself. Jin Mu-Won quickly stepped in and blocked the sword that was aimed at Moonjung with his bare hands. In an instant of guts and quick action, Jin Mu-Won made the right move to stop Mu-hei from hurting Moonjung very badly. In a strong move, Jin Mu-Won begged Mu-hei to stop being mean, pointing out that he was protecting Moonjung like an older brother. Mu-hei, on the other hand, was determined to attack, which made Jin Mu-Won block the attack. He quickly blocked the oncoming blow, and using only his fingers, broke Mu-hei's sword into pieces with amazing dexterity. This brave move was meant to show that Mu-hai wasn't living up to his duties as a monk. Even though Jin Mu-Won stepped in, the tension in the bar did not calm down. The other two ascetics charged at Jin Mu-Won in a heated revenge because they thought their brother had been put down. As the fight got worse, the air was filled with anger, and things looked like they might get even worse. Even though the air was tense, Jin Mu-Won stood strong, ready to defend himself against the attack that was coming. Not only did he do what he did to protect Moonjung, but he also did it because he was determined to stand up for justice and honesty, even when people were being mean.
Seol-gung and the other ascetic were spotted charging toward Jin Mu-Won with their swords, as they saw Mu-hai had already been defeated. Jin Mu-Won had urged Moonjung to remove Hamtaepyeong and his daughter out of the area so that they would not be wounded during the scuffle. The two ascetics were observed as they assaulted Jin Mu-Won with swords, which he cleverly evaded and blocked. Jin Mu-Won was then shown using his leg to simultaneously insta-kick the two ascetics, defeating them in a single motion. Meanwhile, Mu-hei has recovered from his shock and flung his broken sword at Jin Mu-Won, who dodged it. He then charged at Jin Mu-Won, threatening to kill him, to which Jin Mu-Won held him by his clothes and began punching his face, during which Seol-gung attempted to knife Jin Mu-Won, but failed since Jin Mu-Won was already informed. Meanwhile, he had his hand twisted and passed out from shock and pain. The Iron Brigade members were taken aback by the incident, and Mu-hwan reflected on how the circumstances now did not suit them. He understood that if they got involved, the Iron Brigade would undoubtedly face consequences that the residents of Gongdong Monastery would not tolerate. Mu-hai's face was swollen at this point, but he continued to blabber that Jin Mu-Won would not be safe after what he had done, and that the entire Gongdong Monastery would undoubtedly mobilize against Jin Mu-Won. To his surprise, Jin Mu-Won calmly replied to his ears that all he needed to do was get rid of the entire monastery. Mu-hai couldn't believe his ears when he heard Jin Mu-Won brazenly threaten the entire monastery. Seo-yin stepped in at this point, stating she had heard Mu-hai was in the tavern. But what she witnessed astounded her. Revered disciples of Gongdong Monastery being pummeled by a single man. Later, Seo-yin was seen as she admonished Jin Mu-Won that the relationship between Gongdong Monastery and the White Dragon merchant troupe had deteriorated as a result of what he did, and asked him if he was unaware that they shared a close bond with Gongdong Monastery, and that Jin Mu-Won should be grateful that he was even allowed to accompany them to Unnam. Jin Mu-Won then apologized for his conduct and requested her to prioritize determining the actual specifics of the issue, as well as ensuring the safety of all involved. Her responsibility was to look after persons like Moonjung, who, despite his youth, works as a bodyguard for the White Dragon merchant group. And that, Moon-jung nearly lost an arm in his struggle for justice. That just because Gongdong Monastery is revered does not justify their acts. Jin Mu-Won is aware that Seo Yin is also a disciple at the monastery, but she is here as the leader of the White Dragon merchant troupe, so she should first listen to her people before making any decisions. Yoon Seo-yin was taken aback when she discovered he was correct, and she apologized for her error. She did, however, note that Jin Mu-Won putting the ascetics of Gongdong Monastery in that state is not a minor issue, to which Jin Mu-Won replied that he would accept full responsibility for the situation, and he is well aware that nothing exists forever, explained that although the great Gongdong Monastery has a strong foundation, they will not exist forever. But if that does not please Yoon Seo-yin, Jin Mu-Won offered to leave the White Dragon merchant troupe with Moon-jung. They would operate on their own. Gong Jin-sung instantly stepped in and suggested that they first get some sleep, then try to come up with a solution the next day, to which Yoon Seo-yin fled, and Jin Mu-Won said that he would wait for the counterattack from the Gongdong Monastery. Moon-jung was seen as he apologized for everything that had happened to Jin Mu-Won, who told him not to worry, and that it appeared they might spend the night out there, and then requested him to fetch some materials that they could use for beddings, to which Moon-jung promptly went. Mu-hwan was spotted approaching Jin Mu-Won and attempting to inform him that Gongdong Monastery will not let it go. He was cut off by Jin Mu-Won, who did not want to hear anything. Mu-hwan was startled, which made him angry. Jin Mu-Won asked whether he had always calculated his actions, which he confirmed and said was how the Iron Brigade had survived until now. However, Jin Mu-Won said that it is not just the case that he trained martial arts to become the light that guides those who can, but that he must continue on the path he had chosen. However, Mu-hwan was shocked by what Jin Mu-Won said, which showed that his beliefs can change the whole nation of Murim.
As the night closed in around them, Moon-jung and Jin Mu-Won looked for comfort in the crackling heat of a carefully kept fire. It was hard for Moon-jung to say sorry in this private setting. He took full responsibility for the bad things that had happened earlier and felt terrible about it. He felt bad that his actions had caused the fight and destroyed the peace they had been enjoying. Jin Mu-Won responded with wise advice, kindly explaining that Moon-jung had made a mistake not only by stepping in, but also by ignoring his own weaknesses. He told them a harsh truth about the world they lived in, a world where strength was the only way to survive, and emphasized how important it was for Moon-jung to strengthen himself in the face of life's hard challenges. When Jin Mu-Won saw Moon-jung's sad face, he tried to cheer him up by telling him how brave he was for saving lives in the chaos. By telling Moon-jung that his deeds hadn't been for nothing, he reassured him and gave him hope. Thankful for the support, Moon-jung promised to follow Jin Mu-Won's advice and work hard to become a better person. During their talk, Moon-jung's interest grew, and he asked Jin Mu-Won in a shy way about the kind of hard training that was needed to get to Jin Mu-Won's level of strength. Jin Mu-Won wanted to help his protege, so he told him about the hard training program he had gone through. He talked about the discipline, determination, and mastery that were needed to get to that level of skill. A journey that required unwavering dedication and a strong spirit. Jin Mu-Won looked into where his extraordinary skill came from and found that he had been learning how to be a blacksmith since he was a child. His skill came from learning to use knives at a young age, which also helped him understand their flaws. He thought back on his life and remembered working hard for years to make a sword out of the mysterious rock that Huang Chiol had given him. With its mysterious aura and evil energy, this one-of-a-kind blade named Snowflower was full of eerie chi. Jin Mu-Won told him how dangerous this cursed sword was and warned him that its dark power could kill him if he didn't handle it properly. Even though Snowflower was beautifully made and had a beautiful, airy name, it had a dangerous spirit that Jin Mu-Won approached with great caution. The complicated process of making the blade had not only made it incredibly strong, but it had also given it a scary aura that made people want to be careful when handling it. Jin Mu-Won's revelation threw a dark cloud over the otherwise peaceful talk. It brought out the importance of what he was holding. An amazing but dangerous weapon that carried the weight of both skill and hidden evil. Che Yak-ran suddenly walked in with a tray full of dumplings and drinks and offered them to Jin Mu-Won and Munjung before quickly leaving. Munjung thought it was strange that a vice leader of the Iron Brigade would personally bring them food, which made him think that Jin Mu-Won might be trying to recruit. But the peaceful moment was broken when Jin Mu-Won felt a strong sense of hostility nearby. This made him tell Munjung right away to go to the southern sea bar before leaving quickly himself. Soon after, the figures that had been hidden came out of where they had been hiding. They were the ascetics from the Gongdong Temple, led by their older brother Mu Guang. They had a strong desire for revenge and wanted to get back at people who had hurt their brother in the past. As tensions rose, Jin Mu-Won got ready for a fight that was about to happen. He took his sword out of its sheath with a sense of readiness and purpose, ready to face the fight that was about to happen. The ascetics, under the leadership of Mu Guang and Jin Mu-Won, were about to engage in combat when the situation abruptly changed, turning the peaceful area into a battlefield rife with rage. The students at the Gongdong Temple rushed forward at the same time and attacked Jin Mu-Won. They wanted to be too strong for him to handle, but Jin Mu-Won was more skilled than just using a sword. He moved quickly and easily blocked the attackers with a strong gust of wind that was only the result of his quick blade draw. The practitioner's skill astounded the students, and the sheer force of this technique was enough to stop them in their tracks. Mu Guang was one of them who saw this amazing show. He was amazed as he figured out Jin Mu-Won's plan. The martial artist was only using the sheath of his sword and not hitting his attackers directly. When Mu Guang realized this, it showed him Jin Mu-Won's true mastery. He was a martial arts genius who could subdue opponents without killing them. At the same time, Mu-Hai kept pushing the followers to keep attacking, even though he knew it would not work against Jin Mu-Won's unmatched skill. Realizing the huge gap in skill between his group and the powerful Jin Mu-Won, Mu Guang stepped in and tried to end the pointless fight by calling his followers back, realizing it was pointless to keep attacking. In a decisive move, Jin Mu-Won launched another well-planned attack, showing Seol Gung and the others that they had been nothing more than props in his planned show. When they finally realized the truth, it was too late. Jin Mu-Won was stronger than them, and he hadn't even been fighting seriously. Seeing how useless the efforts were against Jin Mu-Won, Mu Guang decided to end the fight quickly by using his most powerful technique, the spread of destruction. Mu Guang was shocked when Jin Mu-Won easily avoided the deadly attack, which made him question his own abilities. Not to be stopped, Mu Guang hit back with another powerful attack, this time using the slash of the lunar skies to try to kill him. Despite this, Jin Mu-Won quietly blocked the attack, stopping the deadly blow. Xiao Yin, who was observing from a distance, was undoubtedly surprised by how different the performers' skills were. The first-generation students of the Gongdong Monastery, who were known for being very good at martial arts, couldn't get Jin Mu-Won to take them seriously. They were all shocked and confused when they heard this news, which broke their trust in Jin Mu-Won's unmatched skill. Gong Jin-sung spoke up and explained why people who are respected in the martial arts community are so mysterious. He explained that these respected beings were the very best examples of true power because they cared about the problems of the world and wanted to stand with regular people. He talked about how No Tai Tai had always kept a close eye on people who blended in with the background, seeing their value and knowing that real strength often lies in those who are not noticed. In the Iron Brigade, people were speechless with amazement and respect as they watched Jin Mu-Won's amazing skills. They admired Jin Mu-Won's martial arts prowess and believed that his unmatched strength was comparable to that of their esteemed boss. At the same time, Mu Guang was very angry because Jin Mu-Won didn't seem to be taking their arguments seriously. Mu Guang made a direct challenge, telling Jin Mu-Won to face him with all his might because he wanted to force Jin Mu-Won to fight him. Realizing how serious the situation was, Jin Mu-Won said he was sorry and admitted that it had been a long time since he had met a real match. With a serious face, Jin Mu-Won released the full power of his sword, sending out a wave of unmatched strength that stunned Mu Guang completely. The fight between the two martial arts experts got worse, with each master moving with accuracy and determination. As Jin Mu-Won unleashed the terrifying power that was hidden in his sword, Mu-Gwang stood motionless, stunned, and unable to speak. It was an amazing and magnificent show of raw strength. At the most tense part of the fight, Jin Mu-Won held his blade aimed at Mu-Gwang's throat, which was the end of their intense argument. However, the tense situation was broken when Ham Tae-pyong and Mun Jung showed up out of the blue, pleading with Jin Mu-Won to stop what he was doing. Because he was in such a dangerous situation, Mu-Gwang paid close attention as Ham Tae-pyong explained what really happened. As the facts came out, Mu-Gwang realized that Mu-hai and others were the real people who were making the false charges. Also, Mu-Gwang found out about Ham Tae-pyong's unfair trial inside the Gongdong Temple, which he didn't know about because he was alone at the time. Concerned, Mu-Gwang asked Ham Tae-pyong why he hadn't asked for help from him or the sect leaders, knowing that they would have been happy to give it. Ham Tae-pyong's answer, which was full of weariness and resignation, showed how tired he was from the long struggle. When these facts were revealed, they touched a nerve in the group and exposed a web of lies and confusion that had caught them all. Now that Mu-Gwang knew how bad things were and how unfair it was that Ham Tae-pyong was being treated, he felt terrible that he wasn't there to help during those tough times. As things went on, they showed how much the arguments and bad decisions had hurt them during their encounters. His place in the monastery made him tired because there was so much anger and jealousy at the monastery when he was getting noticed that he felt completely alone. At this point, he met his wife, who was there for him. He finally decided to give up everything so that he could have a quiet life with his family. But Mu-hai and other people wouldn't let him go. Seol-gung betrayed Mu-hai right away, and Mu-hai said that he did everything he could to help Mu-Gwang become the next group leader. If not, Ham Tae-pyong would have been in charge. When Mu-hai said those things, they made Mu-Gwang very angry. He told Mu-hai that he would have killed Mu-hai, but that it would be a blessing because he would have to go through twice as much pain as Ham Tae-pyong. Then he said he would start getting rid of bad people in the temple and make sure those who didn't follow his orders got a harsh punishment. He also knew that just saying sorry wouldn't be enough for Ham Tae-pyong and his family, so he promised that the monastery would do everything it could to help them. Mu-Gwang looked at Jin Mu-Won, who reminded him of how strong the 7 lower stars were, and how Jin Mu-Won might even be able to reach the top of the world. He then said sorry for wasting Jin Mu-Won and the others' time, and told them that when they got to Unnam, they should find his friend, the 3-minded scholar Ha Jin-wol, and that if they mentioned him, his friend would definitely help them. They then bowed to each other with respect. The next day, the group continued their journey to Unnam. On the way, Mun Jung asked Jin Mu-Won for advice on how to get stronger. Jin Mu-Won told him to take his time to master the technique cultivation that Hwang Cheol had given him, and to also use the heavy sword, because he saw that Mun Jung could get bigger and stronger with enough training. Later, they got to the province of Sacheon and took turns guarding it. Jin Mu-Won and Mun Jung were seen at the sword shops, but Jin Mu-Won turned down all of Mun Jung's choices of heavy swords. He then went to an alley and found a weapon store. The old man noticed Jin Mu-Won's sword and asked him why he made a cursed blade out of other blades. Jin Mu-Won then asked the old man how he knew that he was the one who made the blade. The old man said that he knew because he had made it himself. In the meantime, Jin Mu-Won said that the strange material he used was what gave the blade its scary energy. The old man then said that there are things called weapons of God that are made from the will and desire of a master blacksmith. The weapon can become either a divine or demonic weapon, depending on the blacksmith. That's why master blacksmiths who make guns need to be very careful. He then warned Jin Mu-Won not to let anyone else touch the blade because he might lose his mind with it. The old man then brought them inside and gave them a special heavy sword that he had made when he was younger. Jin Mu-Won praised the fineness of the sword and said that it was perfect for Mun Jung. So he gave it to Mun Jung. Mun Jung was shocked when he saw how heavy the sword was, but he was able to take it on his back in the end. The old man, on the other hand, refused to take payment for the sword and told Jin Mu-Won that he could pay him back whenever he came to Sacheon, had a drink, and talked about swords. Later, Jin Mu-Won and Moon-jung left the man's store and walked by a crowd. They decided to see what was going on and saw some bad people bullying others. Soon, a big man showed up and punished them, so Jin Mu-Won didn't have to get involved. It turned out that the big man was Yong Mu-song, the leader of the Iron Brigade. As a go-between, Mu-Hwan helped initiate a meeting between Jin Mu-Won and Yong Mu-song, a straightforward and honest person in their group. Yong Mu-song didn't waste any time inviting Jin Mu-Won to their executive meeting. At first, Xiao Yin wasn't sure if she should accept the offer, but after hearing what Yong Mu-song had to say, she finally gave in and let Jin Mu-Won join. To make Jin Mu-Won feel welcome, Yong Mu-song introduced him to the other respected members of the Iron Squad. There were well-known people among them, like Shredder, Xiao Jin, and Ji Sung-yul. Furthermore, Jin Mu-Won responded to the welcome by greeting each member and officially becoming acquainted with them. This exchange was Jin Mu-Won's first chance to learn about how the Iron Brigade worked, as he got to know its key members with the help of Yong Mu-song. Then Gong Jin-sung started the meeting and said that things in Unnam are very complicated. He said that the Broken Fist Troop was able to set up their base there because there weren't many groups there except for the Deep Blue Sword Sect, who are often at odds with each other. And a lot of trade groups, including theirs, were hurt by them, which destroyed the economy. All of these things will be taken care of when they get to Unnam, though. Then Mu-Hwan told them that he had already sent a tracker as a spy to get information ahead of time. Yong Mu-song then left the meeting, telling Jin Mu-Won that his vice leaders could end it, and let him know what they decided. He then invited Jin Mu-Won for a walk, and told Jin Mu-Won not to think of Mu-Hwan as a bad person, because he was a deep thinker who always thought about what he did before doing it. He then took Jin Mu-Won to a certain place and said they needed to find out more about Unnam. Yong Mu-song introduced himself as the Black Moonlight, and he was allowed to go in with Jin Mu-Won, who was curious about what the place was all about. When Jin Mu-Won asked Yong Mu-song why he was brought to this place, Yong Mu-song said it was to show Jin Mu-Won that the Murim is strange and much bigger than he thought. At this point, a person wearing a dark cloak and hat came out of another room to greet Yong Mu-song.